An Aidiacht Shealbhach. My name's Cormac Buzz Ó Briain and I'm back again to talk to you about the possessive adjective. So I'm just going to explain the rules first and then I'll show you how we put them into action. This is basically when you're saying something like my coat or my apple or my chair or my auntie or anything like that, or your auntie, his auntie, her auntie. All of those things, our auntie, your plural auntie, and their auntie. So first of all, ma. Ma aspirates, gives us shevu. Ma wala, for example, my bag. Da also aspirates. Da wala. That da, by the way, is for your bag. Da wala, da. So wala also aspirates. Okay, gives us the shevu. So wala, his bag. Now, we use also for her, but it doesn't give us a shevu. So mala, but it will put a H in front of a vowel. So hul, her apple. Now, when you get into the plurals here, are, were, and they eclipse, they put a letter before it. Are eclipses or puts an N before a vowel. Are, by the way, is are, it even sounds like it. Our bag, no, our bus, our mus. So you can see here the eclipse. So bus being the word for bus, but our bus, our mus. Our apple. Don't know if you're ever going to share one apple between a few of you, but just for the example. So our null. So it puts that N apostrophe before a vowel. Similarly, were, mus, your plural, bus. Were, null, your apple. Mus. Now that's very important to remember because we have three A's here. Mus. So the first one, his, will aspirate. Hers doesn't, but puts a H before a vowel. And for theirs, eclipses. So mus. It also puts the N before the vowel. Null. So I'll do some examples now. Okay, so how do these letters affect nouns? So let's start over here with the word bowla. Babhla. Bowla means a bowl. But when you put ma in front of it, it becomes ma wowla. So my bowl, ma wowla. Da wowla, your bowl. Wowla, his bowl. So the word bowla for the first three people in the singular, ma, mine, da, your, because his, they give us a shevu, an aspiration. Ma wowla, da wowla, wowla. Now, we use the same here for her bowl, but it doesn't do anything to the noun, bowla. So that way you can tell the difference between wowla, you know it's his bowl, or bowla, it's her bowl. So when we get into the plurals, our mowla, we get the eclipse, our mowla, our bowl. Were mowla, your plural bowl. And again, we have this letter but this time it uses the eclipse, mowla, their bowl. And we can see this example again here. If we take the word car for car, ma har, my car, da har, your car, har, his car, but car. No aspiration, no shevu. That's how we know it's her car. Because if it was har, it would be his car. Similarly, in the plurals, we're eclipsing. Are gar, were gar, gar. And again, we've got that word for these here. But this one's eclipsed, that one does nothing, and that one gives a shevu. So his car, har, her car, their car, gar. Another example here, take the word door. Daras, ma garas, da garas, garas. But her door, a daras, no shevu, no nothing. Ar naras, eclipse. Were naras, a naras. Worth remembering that again. A naras, it's eclipsed. For their door, a naras, but a daras, nothing, for her door, and a garas for his door. It gets a shevu. So it's a little bit different with when we use vowels. So let's just look at this. We use it because we don't like two vowels coming together. They clash. If you try and say ma uber, it's easier to say when you you take it from the end, mubber, my work, mubber, your work, dubber. So you have this M apostrophe, D apostrophe. But when you say his work, the noun does not change at all. A upper. And that is done to differentiate between his work, her work, and their work. So you need that the noun will react differently each time that it's said. So a upper, his work, but a hubber in front of a vowel. A hubber, her work. When we get into the plurals, our nubber, our work, were nubber, a nubber. So a nubber, our nubber first of all, our work, were nubber, your work, your plural work obviously, and a nubber, their work, a nubber. So you can see a nubber is different from her work, which is a hubber, or his work, which is a upper. So now I'm going to discuss the letter F in this case. And let's just see what the letter F does. F is a special case in Irish because when you put an aspiration in it, or shevu, when you put that in, FH becomes totally silent. So it's like a vowel almost. So when you put the H in there, if you were just using ma, it would be like ma ogra. It's harder to say. So we've got this M apostrophe, which is mogra, my notice. Similarly, dogra, your notice. A ogra, his notice. That his notice will take this FH. But a fogra, because it is still a consonant, even though it reacts slightly like a vowel, it's still a consonant. So we're still following the original rules that were used for consonants. So a ogra, his notice, but a fogra, her notice. R vogra, like the rest of them, it takes the eclipse when you get into the plural. Were vogra and a vogra. And just remember the three A's. There, notice a vogra will eclipse. A fogra, her notice, won't do anything. And a ogra, his notice, will put that in. But just remember it's an M apostrophe for mogra, agus dogra. But if we take a word like frama, the word for a frame, frama, when you put ma there, it's not hitting a vowel sound like ama, it's hitting an R sound. So it becomes ma rama, da rama, a rama, but a frama for her frame. So ma rama, my frame, da rama, your frame, a rama, his frame, a frama, her frame. And then we get into the plurals. Are vrama, were vrama, a vrama.